Hello, how are you? What's up, Micah? How are you? Hi. How was work? How did you hurt your wrist? My mom thinks I broke it on something. Dang. Maybe. Bah. You're good. Yes, 55.
With QuickBooks, we're able to understand everything, see numbers going in and out, see which sticks to order more of, which one's making the most profit. QuickBooks made everything easier for us.
So today we're going to be continuing to take a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. We are now on episode 55 of the series, and in the last episode we saw some pretty major events happening, such as the rise of different ideologies, a few major wars in different regions, and a bunch of other events. So if you haven't seen the last episode, make sure to go check it out before seeing this one. And if you guys do enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're trying to get to 200 100,000 subscribers by this summer. And let's go ahead and jump straight into the video. So one of the major events we saw in the last episode was the fall of the Mediterranean country, a very old country since episode 3, I think, and it just collapsed in episode 54. But the broader issue that we're seeing in North Africa is the rise of fascism. You can see that the Parallelogram Alliance now has 4 members within it, and these guys are all very expansionist, which is what we're going to be seeing first.
I
in this
guess
video.
so.
First of all, though, the West Africa country will go ahead and go down to their own ally, which is the Orange country, and they will get them to join the Parallelogram Alliance, meaning that they also now have a fascist leader. And over the course of a few months, maybe years, the West African country will go ahead and try to force its ideology on members of its economical alliance, such as these 3 nations right here, in order to get them to just join the alliance as opposed to having to overthrow their regimes. Now, as we know in Africa, there are 2 major economical alliances, being the Star Economical Alliance and the Triangle Economical Alliance. These are both currency-based alliances, meaning that you have to use the same currency as all these countries, kind of similar to our modern-day European Union. And I do want to say, there will be power rankings in this episode, finally. After we do a few things, we will be doing power rankings towards the middle.
I use
So do
Android.
stick around for that, because I keep forgetting to do them, but we're finally going to do them. But where I was going with this other economical alliance is that it is growing in numbers, specifically in Southern Africa. We see a few countries join it, such as Tanzania. We also see both the pink and the beige country join. And we see the red country join up here. So these guys all come together under an economical banner. Now, this isn't a military alliance, so there's no security guarantees anywhere. But being in a common economical alliance could help them improve
Yeah.
relations to maybe eventually one day form a military alliance, one that can counter the growing Parallelogram Alliance up north. But now
Yeah,
we're
I'm just
shifting
thinking
our
whatever
focus
you've done
up
and-
north to
Right.
event happening for a certain country. Oh, Poland. So Poland just got its independence a few episodes back when Russia collapsed. And, well, they're having a nice little civil war. Now, they also just joined the Square Alliance. So we'll have to see how that affects the civil war. But for now, within Poland, we have pro-Russian rebels trying to break away and join up with this Lime Team country, which is one of the former Russian countries. And this thing has some pretty big momentum. It's pretty strong. And officially, it is these few provinces which are trying to break away. So now let's let the civil war commence. The first couple
What
of days,
does
the
that
rebels
mean?
take some ground into other provinces. These provinces are not pro-Russian in nature, however, they do have a large population which is in support of Russia, which helps them move in to Polish territory, specifically down here in the south. Now wait, because there's more. On top of the pro-Russian rebels, we also see pro-Dutch rebels. These guys are, as you can tell, right next to the borders of the Dutch country and include this set of provinces. Much similar to the Russians, they will see early success in this Polish Civil War, going right towards the center of the country in hopes of cutting off access to some major cities down in the south, some of which they've already captured. Now, there really isn't any kind of mutual working together that is happening between these two rebel groups. They just kind of happen at the same time. But it does kind of ask the question of, are these funded rebels by a power? Maybe the Brown Team. I would suspect that it's maybe them. But we will have to see. Eventually, the rebels do cut across center Poland and meet up, disconnecting northern and southern Poland, which allows for a set of sweeping campaigns by both rebel groups, ultimately leading to just a few pockets of soldiers fighting in the south.
Sorry to ruin your groove. Isn't that the worst? What if I told you that there was a way for you to skip ads like this forever? This is
I can skip it.
Up north, though,
Cry.
it's a little bit of a different story. The Poles are fighting back. They beat back the Russians Russian rebels all the way to their border and do some serious damage against the Brown Team's rebels. All in all, though, they aren't very successful in penetrating into the southern region of their country, but luckily for Poland, they recently just got themselves a new set of allies in the Square Team, so they will have the help of the Norwegians, the Purple Team, and the Farmers Union in this civil war. To be honest with you, this is like one of the strongest alliances in the world. So when these troops enter into the country, it's not so pretty for the rebellious groups. Specifically, the Farmers Union does a lot of the heavy lifting in the south, feeding back all of these rebel groups and making an effort to reconnect Poland with its northern self. Meanwhile, over here up north, the Norwegians arrive in order to push back the Brown Team's rebels. And this goes extremely well as they're able to recapture a major city. And once the Purple Team's troops arrive, it's pretty much wrapped for all of these rebel groups. They'll be pushed back and kind of consolidated into their own individual pockets. But eventually, the main forces of the rebellion groups will be invaded by Poland. Eventually, the Russian group is wiped out, and soon after, so is their army. Now, all that remains is the remnants of the Dutch Team's rebellion. And like the Russians, these guys are completely pushed out. So, the Civil War is over. Poland won its own Civil War, didn't lose any land. Large part of that can be thanks to their allies, but it has definitely left Poland a little bit unstable. And unfortunately for Poland, they're also having elections around this time. And like in much of the other countries around the world, ideologies are becoming very contrasting. People are very nationalistic and radical, meaning that the candidates in this cycle are no different than the candidates seen in a lot of other countries. Very radical, very fascist, and also very communist. Now, Poland is kind of a centerpiece in Europe. Now, they're not necessarily an important player in the series at all. They barely exist in the series, but they are kind of in an important spot, separating Western Europe and Central Europe from the Great Eastern Front, which I know a few countries would like to expand into. So when there is a fascist and a communist going up against each other in an election, you're probably going to want to support the person that has the same ideology as you. And as we know, both the Farmers Union and the Purple Team are communist nations, and the Brown Team is a fascist nation. So what do we get when Poland is at play with their election here? Well, we get a great amount of foreign interference. These elections are rigged very badly. Now, the current Polish government is fairly centrist, slightly center-right, but they are still willing to work with these communist nations in order to save their country, you know? They would rather be protected by these three than getting invaded by the Brown Team. So the government doesn't necessarily care who wins this election, but they really should. But Poland's allies do. They don't want Poland to go fascist because then they might leave their alliance and partner up with the Brown Team, which could serve as a huge issue for them later on. So they start rigging their election, and of course, as we know, the Brown Team is probably already doing that as well. And the results are extremely
Love
on election
stream.
night. Ultimately, we see this. The fascist candidate gets 48.1% of the vote, and the communist candidate gets 48.2% of the vote. The rest of the percentages goes to third-party and fourth-party candidates, but this is the main thing here. The communist candidate has won his election, and immediately the Brown Team is a little bit mad about this because how did everyone else outrig us in this election? Well, the truth is that the Polish government may have been in on it. Sure, they're centrist, but they're also smart. They don't want to get involved with the Brown Team's antics. So let's rig our election and make sure that doesn't happen. And that's exactly what they did. So Poland is now a full-on communist country. It's not necessarily dictatorial yet, but we might see that soon. Remember that the Norwegian country is also experimenting with leftist ideology. Not necessarily communism, maybe not socialism, but something of that sort. They are still at this point a democracy, though, unlike these two. These two, not so much. Anyway, the Brown Team is now a little bit worried about their future. Poland's elections were kind of like their last hope for getting access to the Great East, and now they kind of have this solidified iron curtain around their country, of which they cannot go that way. They've already gone up this way with Great Britain. Going to war with Ireland probably isn't a good idea. That's how you get a coalition formed against you. So your only other option really is to go down south.
Yeah,
However,
I can
France
remember.
is your underling, so you probably should invade them.
McFly's
So what does
here.
the Brown Team do? Well, they go silent for a little bit. And they start building up their economy and their military. But now it's time for power rankings.
Cool.
I know. It's time for power rankings.
You
Hopefully
missed
none of
it
you
though,
skipped ahead to this.
McFly.
That
Somebody
would be
named
very sad.
McFlurkin
Anyway,
just
at
came
number
in.
one, for the strongest
That
country
is
in
you,
the world,
McFly.
including both
'Cause you
economy, military,
still
and
stuck
also
on the name, they
stability,
called you
is
when
India.
you
I
learned
mentioned
to
this after World War
together.
III. India came out on top of the
That's
power
still-
rankings. They were unaffected by World War III, at least domestically and
embarrassing.
directly. They did still feel the economical issues that were
But
presented
yeah,
in
we
World
thought
War
it was
III.
you, McFly.
Like
Because
nuclear
I was
fallout
like,
killing
dang,
millions. Of
he's
course,
still
it's
on
gonna
that
hurt
name that I
everyone's
called
economy.
you.
And
I was
on
like,
that, by the
dang.
way, the Great Depression Part 2 is over. The world is now out of
Oh,
that
yeah, that's how
era.
you're doing
It is starting to
McFly.
rebuild and getting up in economical numbers once again. Anyway, at number 2, we have the
Yeah, I
Dutch
was like,
team,
dang.
the Brown team. And these guys were involved in World War III, but just at the end of it, they kind of snuck their way in and did some really big damage. But now at number 3, we have the purple Italian team, the Mediterranean Empire.
Oh, wait, there's
Maybe
4 lights
one day it
in the
will be
next one.
this one right here. They are number 3. Now I do want to make clear real quick, there is a pretty sizable gap between number 2 and number 3.
So
The
McFly,
world
please
is very
forget
weak right now. There
my
isn't a lot of
Dang,
major
I
powers
didn't
or
even-
I guess superpowers.
Super fan, super fan. Hey, hey, super fan, super fan. What is that? Anyway, McFly, have you subscribed? I am so close to 300. McFly, are you okay? What was that?
Alright, Black
Is that another
Ops.
song, McFly?
You're lurking.
I'm so tired. I woke up at like 5 o'clock this morning. Because my dad came home late. and I
We're
didn't know he
good,
was home.
bruh.
I
We're
was in
good.
the bedroom and I was like, I woke up, nobody was there, and I'm just like,
I'm on my other phone right now.
and I was like, trying to call him and he kept declining the phone call. I straight up panicked. I was like, dang. Then he was in the other bedroom and I was like, oh, he's home. And they have McFly, what did you do?
Powers at number 0. There's only regional powers. The World War III completely dismantled the superpower system. So the regional power in India, for example, is of course India. Over here in East Asia, it is China. In Africa, more specifically North Africa, of course you have West Africa. In the Horn, it's these guys. In the South Africa. South America is Brazil, pretty much all of it. And in America, it's a little bit more interesting. We'll talk about that soon. But you get my point. But there is just a pretty sizable gap between these two.
I knew I was underwater. I just didn't realize I was this underwater.
At number 4, we have China. Now, China was involved in World War III. They were previously a superpower, but they got wrecked by nuclear bombs, and they are in a rebuilding stage, meaning that they have dropped tremendously from the top, and they're now ranked at number 4. At number 5, we have the American country. Now, this is a little bit surprising, but I do want to say once again that there is a pretty sizable gap between number 2 and number 3. In America, they did see fighting in World War III, but it wasn't in their major populated areas. It was more so just over here, where there really aren't that many people. So they were able to rebuild quickly after the war and have made themselves into a pretty strong industrial power. At number 6, we have the West African country. Now, I do want to say that number 5 and number 6 are pretty much almost interchangeable. Now, the West African country has a lot of more experience in war and a lot more experience in just kind of like nasty side of being a country, whereas America has been relatively peaceful in its existence. So I guess you could say that these two are fairly interchangeable. If I had to go back on myself, I would say that the West African country is probably a little bit stronger than the American one. So let me just do some quick little yep. All right, there's our number 5 here. There we go. Let me do that. Just switch those two. At number 7, we have Norway. Now, Norway is a pretty strong country on paper. They have a very good military. They are just kind of limited, though, by their geography. They don't encase a lot of super valuable land, and they don't have any opportunity to expand either. But they are very stable and very strong militarily. Just on the economical side, they are a little lacking. At number 8, we have the Vietnamese country.
Oh, Lord.
Self-explanatory. They just got a ton of valuable land. At number 9,
Hey,
we have
McFlurkin.
Brazil, which is pretty much right where I'm doing these power rankings, but they have solidified a lot of their power recently and have gone fairly expansionist in recent history, and they made their way into the top 10 powers of the world. And finally, at number 10, we have the Green Team in Central Asia. Now, there is a country that should be in this list, but is not. There is a reason it's not on this list, and it's because of one of the factors that I mentioned when I talk about how these power rankings are done. Military, blah, 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 blah. There is a country that should very obviously be on this list because it encases a ton of land, maybe at its historical height, and just recently got
I like the top.
They should be on this list, but they're not.
The car.
Because of a reason that I've already talked about. So I'll let you guys kind of guess what that country is in the comments
This?
below. But something
I
to
have no idea if you can see it, but is it?
But this is our top 10 as of now. If we were to do
Yeah,
military
this.
rankings, this list would look a lot different because a certain somebody would find their way into the top 10 in military rankings, but because of other issues, they are not in the top 10
Thanks.
overall. So remember this with all of your heart because this will be important for the next couple of episodes. Now though, we're heading over to North America. A very small event happening here, but still something worth talking about, and that is California's entrance into the NATO organization, the North American Trade Organization, not the NATO that we know in real life. This is, of course, the economic alliance that includes a lot of North American nations.
Okay, you're gonna have to give me a shout out like I did you, McFly. Okay, you don't have to.
And is still gaining popularity into Central America.
Okay, he's got it. Leah, I'll be right back. I just want to go to McFly's line for a minute.
Speaking of Central America, though, you know these terrorists right here that have their own state somehow? Well, they're now engaging the Mexican country. These two are at war. And this was a long time coming. There were a series of disputes that have existed for a very long time, but most recently, with the fall of Texas, it has created even more issues between these two countries, and it's boiled over, and now they're at war. In the first couple of days of the war, we see the terrorists have a ton of success in their campaign against the Mexicans. Mexico, on the other hand, who was kind of unprepared for this war, they will kind of struggle to fight back against the terrorists. They take down one province, but this province was fairly abandoned at the time, and start moving up the southern coast, but compared to the gains that the terrorists are making in the north, it's not enough. Additionally, over here in this part of the country, they're making some pretty large gains. Eventually, the terrorist organization's leader will go on to national television and be like, hey, if you just let us connect up our land, we'll stop
Alright,
this war."
working.
And to that, Mexico says no. Now, you might be wondering, why doesn't Mexico just wipe this thing off the map with their nuclear supply? Well, the world has taken a very sharp turn on nukes. They are incredibly unpopular. Even in countries like the Brown Team in the West African country, they don't like nukes. They're very against using them. They will only ever use them as a very last resort, and even then, they may not. We saw millions of deaths with the use of nuclear bombs in World War III, and the world doesn't want to go through that kind of catastrophe again. So they're just kind of not going to use the nukes that they have. Once again, there is a unofficial limit on nuclear bombs that is 30. That was established by the Organization of States, but as we know, that collapsed in the previous episode. So technically now you can go past 30, but I don't think a lot of countries are going to do that. I don't even think these countries are going to manufacture any more nukes. So that's just a quick little update on the rhetoric around nuclear bombs in this world. Anyway, though, back to the fighting. Just because they can't use nukes doesn't mean that they won't carpet bomb the terrorists. A certain U.S. president or two would very heavily support that. But up north, the Mexicans just can't gain ground on the terrorists. They're simply losing way too much land too fast. And this kind of makes the Mexicans wonder, who is helping out the terrorist organization in the war against us?
Yeah, who is?
Well, that mystery will never
Oh.
be solved. Let's just continue fighting.
You
more
know,
progress is
nah,
made by
that's
Mexico in the
crazy.
South, and eventually
Hell's no.
they are at the terrorist organization's expansionist claims. They will start to push into this area and start to liberate their own territory. Oh, but you thought fighting a terrorist organization was easy. Nope, these guys can just pop right back up in their own territory. It makes no sense, and Mexico
It makes
is
already
maybe
no
considering
sense.
using this. Oh, don't you dare. So never mind. Instead, they will now focus on a defensive effort, meaning that they'll push back a little bit in the north, but their main goal now is just to stop the advance of the terrorists and try to strain them into a war of attrition. They will attempt to stop this expansion down south, but will be relatively unsuccessful.
Alright.
And at the end of the day, the organization is able to link back up with its southern claim. However, though, they do lose this one once again, and the Mexicans do a pretty good job at stopping any reoccurring issue. Over the next few months, this war will be very, very slow. Very few gains made on each side, but something important to note that is that the American industry, specifically the war industry, is seeing unprecedented levels of income. Anyway, after the radical people within Mexico start getting a little too radical, the government will make a decision to make peace with terrorists, which is unsurprisingly unpopular with the people. It seems like people just can't make up their mind on how radical they want to be. At the end of the day, though, the negotiations are had, and a new treaty truly define the borders between Mexico and this organization.
Hey,
And the deal
Shay,
is something like this.
I did not realize you changed your channel
All of these
name.
provinces here, and the Mexicans will be getting both of these provinces here. So all in all, the
I did not realize you changed your channel name. Yeah, I did. Alright. You also changed your profile picture. Yeah. My other one. Oh. You know where you look. You do not look like Peter Griffin. You do not look like Peter Griffin. Yeah. I just keep on texting me. What the heck? Oh god. My throat hurts. That was a cough, but thank you, Micah. I'm gonna check it. Like, you're gonna check the entire thing? Dang.
Organization, you could say that they definitely won this war and have connected all of their claims together. But at the same time, the Mexicans also have settled all of the disputes that they've had with this organization. So there are no longer any border disputes. This is the official border between these two
Spark.
nations.
Oh,
And now this organization is seeking sovereignty. Now they really, right now, they lack outer sovereignty a lot. Almost nobody recognizes them except for like a few states, like believe it or not, these guys and their
Hales
allies, of
nah.
course. The brown team recognizes them. I wonder why. And once again,
how impossible.
just a few nations scattered about, but now they want official recognition. They just beat back Mexico in a war, so like, hey, we can do it. So give us what we want. Give us recognition. And now instead of referring to these guys as the terrorist organization, we can now just call them the West Mexican country. America officially recognizes them, and this starts a movement for a lot of countries within America's sphere of influence to also recognize them. So basically, everyone up here, which is a little bit surprising considering that these guys are democratic countries. This is like the strongest area for democracy in the world. In Canada and in California, ironically enough. Everywhere else is a radical mess of just ideological craziness. North America, though, in Canada and California, it's pretty chill here. These guys will start to gain recognition, and eventually they could be considered an actual state, becoming the West Mexican country. Good for them, but also maybe not good for them since they're terrorists. You know. But that is going to do it for today's episode of What If Civilization Started Over, episode
It'll
55,
hurt.
by the way.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy that there's 55 episodes in this series? Who would have thought that I would have made a 55 episode series on mapping at some point? Like, it's still like, I don't even think that I realize how crazy that is. And I plan on going to like 100 episodes. And even now I'm thinking like, am I really going to end this at 100 episodes? I might not ever end the series. Like, it's kind of crazy. But aside from that, this is a pre-recorded video. Unfortunately, it's sort of a pre-recorded video. I'm still home when this publishes, but I'm leaving the next day. So I guess technically everything that you see next week is all pre-recorded. But I'm recording this on the Monday of the week that it's released, or 2 a.m. on that day. So it's technically a pre-recorded video, but also not a pre-recorded video. I'll stop yapping now, though. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to show some support if you did enjoy today's video. It's super helpful for me, super helpful for the channel, and I'll see you all in the next video. And of course, thank you to all our super fans. This includes Serminator, Hyper, King Cheese, Frizioid, Big Red.
Why is there dating apps on YouTube? Can someone tell me that?
If you think the present system of things can really see you through, very idle for our new and virile face of fascism. I come to you with a new and revolutionary concept of politics, of economics, and of life itself. And now, at long last, our men of the war army of 1940.
Why is there dating apps on YouTube? Look over here. I don't know if you can see this, but look. No, for a promotion. If it's not a scam, then this tastes like promotion. But YouTube is not for dating stuff. Alright. Oh Lord, there's weird videos too, bruh. No way. Alright, look at this. Yeah, look at that. I don't know if you can see the taste at all. Wait. Right. Get this. Why guys, there's just videos like this flying around. Hey, listen up. Hails nah.
Halfway through the show, which means it's time for Kendrick Lamar to come out and call Drake a pedophile. Lamar to come out and call Drake a pedophile. Lamar to come out and call Drake a pedophile.
My God. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Oh my. I'm losing all hope for humanity at this point. Yeah. You're almost there. You're actually almost at 300.
The only thing he wished for was to be happy, to fall in love one day, to laugh in the company of good friends, and to live a completely ordinary school life. That was what he had always asked for. But reality had other plans. On Monday, he was beaten up. On Tuesday, toilet water was dumped on him. On Wednesday, his personal photos were leaked online. And on Thursday, he found himself planning his permanent journey to the metaphysical world. Today was Friday, and as he stood on the edge,
Is that
he thought
well,
surely
see.
if he fell from that height, it would be fatal. Yet, a small part of him wondered if he might survive if he landed in the bushes. All he needed to do was calculate his trajectory to ensure he fell just right. Before he could take any action, a girl appeared, her voice breaking through his dark thoughts. "Hey, there's someone else here too," she called out, her tone light and casual. He hadn't thought anyone else would be around, and now he felt a rush of panic. What was he supposed to do? Glancing quickly at her, he noticed she turned halfway around, her curiosity piqued. He tried to ask her to wait, worried she might call for help, but what she did next took him completely by surprise. With a swift motion,
That's
she
like
caught a
going
bird with her bare
shit
hand.
now.
"A crow," she said, holding it up for him to see. Its body has been lying here on the terrace, she explained, her eyes sparkling with an odd mix of excitement and sadness. Then, as if sensing the weight of his despair, she asked, "Is it your wish to be as alive as this crow? Because if you're planning to go through with it, it would be much better to hand your life over to me instead." At first, he was taken aback, struggling to comprehend her proposal. Dying was a great waste, she insisted, and there were still so many fun things to experience in life. Her words ignited a spark of anger within him. "You don't know anything about me," he shot back, frustration bubbling to the surface. "You can't just say what's best for my life." He assumed she had come to mock him, to add to his misery. But the girl
Hey.
shook her head, her expression earnest. "That's not why I'm here," she said softly. "I want to give your life a better purpose." Her words hung in the air, and he felt a flicker of curiosity. What did she mean by that? She continued, asking him what came to mind when he looked at the crow. Did he find its lifeless body cute? He couldn't help but grimace at the thought. "Not even slightly beautiful," he replied, disgust evident on his face. To his surprise, she agreed, explaining that the body was just a stinking, rotten pile of garbage.
Hells no.
"Garbage," she said, her voice steady. "That's exactly how you're treated at school. Like an idiot, like human trash."
My wife and I have been happily married for 2 years.
We've been married for 13 years.
Yeah, but only 2 of them were happy. My wife and I have been happily married.
Me too, Micah.
For 2 years.
We've been married for 13 years.
Yeah, but only 2 of them were happy.
Go ahead. Wait, what was the thing for that? Distance 30 meters, speed 130 kilometers is crazy and insane. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Oh. Yep. I also pinned that.
If you cut out all sugar, all bread, all pasta, if you're just eating steak, your body will hit a level and you go, this is all I need, and then you won't want to eat more. But if I'm in that same mind space and there's steak there, but it's next to mashed potatoes with gravy, a bowl of pasta, ice cream, then I'm going to keep going and I'm going to get another 7,000 calories. If you cut out all sugar.
Welcome.
Faster than an average human being. No, let me go again. I can be Usain Bolt. Yeah, let me see if I'm faster than...
Superbire.
Super Bayer, hey, hey, Super Bayer, hey.
Yeah, I will watch on my other. I will watch your live stream somehow. Yeah, I'm going to join her live. Yes, see ya.
Yep, there he is. Ow. finished. Micah, I did it. Dang. That hurt. McFaw said, "Oh Lord." Yeah. That's a 24-ounce Sprite. Oh, that hurt. Hey Frank, how are you? Since I haven't eaten. Oh. You would do that even if you didn't have that profile picture. Okay. I'm just going live with my subscribers, hanging out with them. How's your day going, Frank? Why? That's cool, Frank. Did you like and subscribe, Frank? You know. Why do your teeth hurt, McFly? Hi, Jake. You missed the Sprite challenge. I literally just chugged a whole 24. Literally just chugged. Stomach hurts.
Out of that.
We do.
You guys are so sweet. I really appreciate it when you guys are kind. I always get hate comments, so.
Oh, Micah, do you want to see your painting that I made you?
Bernardo Silva! Bravo, Lunin! Release! Murphy 101. Jacob Murphy to win it. Oh, just put it in the net! Rashica! Rashica Diamatero!
Le nostre in barriera, Bairami, il tiro, gol. Gol di Bairami. Leao prova a mettere questa palla in mezzo. Saltarade. Gol! Ballo! Ballo, ballo, ballo senza respiro. Ballo, ballo. Na na na. Na na na.
Na na na. Na na na. Na na na. Na na na. Na na na. Na na na. Na na na.
But anyway. Anyway. And he starts talking about UFOs. Dang. Okay, well, when I get the time. Thanks.
Na na na. Na na na. Na na na.
Anyway,
Na na na.
when I get
Na na na.
I'll put a UFO in it for you. It's my
Just got
hey Tao. Ooh, na, na. Hey Bones, how are you? Okay, McFly.
Na na na. Na na na. Na na na.